Alright, so it's that time of the month for us to update our monthly tier list, in this case for the month of April. In March, we actually only saw 5 new characters come into the game, 3 for mid-month, 2 for end-of-month, while for the resurrections this month, we actually did end up getting 7. That's mainly due to the fact that round 4 of 1000 Year Blood War surprisingly got a resurrection, and we're going to be ranking the characters, updating the resurrected characters in this tier list, all in today's video. As always, when it comes to our rankings, we mainly factor 3 main things. Number 1, usability. Where can they be used? Number 2, damage and range. How good is their damage output? How far can they hit with their strong attacks? And number 3 is survivability. Does the character have immunities? Do they have built-in healing? All those stuff is factored into this ranking. So let's jump straight into it. So within the hard tier list, we have 2 characters to add. Almost so 1 character to add, but 1 to update. And that first update character is, of course, the 1000 Year Blood War version of Ichigo. Now, currently he's ranked at the top of B tier, and with his resurrection, he got a pretty interesting one to say the least. Since this character only had 7 skills, upon resurrected, he could only pick up 1 new skill. The current idea prior to resurrecting is he was going to pick up either Berserker or 20% Havoc. Instead, Caleb went down a different route and actually gave him the booster skill. Now, the booster skill is still a very rare skill, not that many characters have it, and it's really important and valuable in the Guild Quest game modes. Because if you don't know, a boost without the booster skill gives everyone a 33% attack, focus, and defense increase, where with the booster skill, it goes up by 30%. So 43% attack, focus, and defense increase. Even though it's only a 10% attack and focus increase, it really does matter, especially when you're trying to go for them very fast play times in Guild Quest, and we've actually demonstrated on the channel a few times now, where we've used characters like this Ichigo to get a really high clear time, despite him not even doing any damage. He's there just to simply boost us. So while it might not have been like the most ideal type of resurrection, it definitely has made him significantly more usable, especially in Guild Quest content. I don't think this upgrade is enough for him to be used outside of Guild Quest. You definitely can. His damage increase definitely is noticeable, especially with the 12% full standard damage that he did get as a second soul trait, one of the best hot links in the entire game. So because of that, I'm going to put him in 8 tier. He definitely has rounded up just a tad bit, significantly more usable in that particular aspect, but I don't want to put him super high. I'm going to put him around here, mainly due to the fact that while it's true he can be used in Guild Quest, and you definitely can get a usage out of him now because of this newfound upgrade, there's also a wide range of characters that also does what he does, potentially even better to a certain extent. And if you have one of those characters, you technically don't need to use this particular Ichigo, so that's something to keep in mind. But his resurrection definitely was an upgrade, enough to get him from B to A tier in my opinion, so honestly it wasn't too bad. But for our newest character in the heart attribute, we have Tesla. Tesla was a character that we've been waiting for a very long time, and by that I mean a new SP based character with the Hollow Kill ability. If you look at our tier list, you'll notice that most of these characters here don't have Hollow Killer. For the most part, our best Hollow Killer options in the heart attribute is this particular Shinji. He's a Nat character that don't really count, and then we also have a free to play Ichigo right here. So the heart is in a desperate need to get a new heart character with the Hollow Kill ability, and unfortunately this particular Tesla was just not that. He has an okay strong attack kit, nothing super crazy, it's not bad by any means, but since he was a mid-month character, he is lacking a tad bit on the DPS and also range factor, wasn't given Havoc, damage output. Even so, you know, mid-month characters can get quite high DPS, in his case not so much, only having a 40% Berserker. Tesla's one of those characters that you kind of just use to farm stuff in this game, but there are better characters for that. But he does come with a coin drop increase, a crystal drop increase upwards to 50%, that's actually quite high to be fair, and also can be used in epic raids for the Mind Link Swap Potion purpose. But Mind Link Swap Potion skill is starting to lose its charm just a tad bit, since, you know, Sun exists. You can now make any character +5 Link Swap Potions, and you can even use better links to characters like Nini and Kaname, for example. So despite being a Linkster character, he's finding a hard place to stay in this particular attribute, so I'm gonna put him just around an A tier, basically about that. Like, he's nothing super crazy. He's good to have for a new account, because again, you can farm coins, crystals, and Linkster potions, but the second you get a new Linkster character, you're gonna use that character over Tesla. He isn't really giving you a massive reason to use him, and while it's true he is lacking a tad bit on the range aspect, it really sometimes doesn't matter in epic raid content where you want to use him, and he can increase the Linkster potions and drop what you can get from epic raids, so he's not a bad character to use. He's far from unusable, but in epic raids it's all about clearing fast, and this character's damage output isn't that high, only a 40% Berserker, not really the greatest for a mid-month character. But other than that, that's basically the hard tier list. There's nothing really else to adapt here. Eagerly waiting for a new hard character to approach these 3, hopefully this time with the Hollow Killer. If Caleb was to implement a new character, that potentially could be worse than these 3. If they have a Hollow Killer, that's significantly more valuable, because that is again an underrepresented killer within the heart attribute. For the power attribute, we got no resurrections this month, but we did get one new character. That, of course, being the Beyond the Bankai version of Mayuri. Now, Mayuri is an exceptional character. I think he's really good. That's maybe being downplayed a tad bit due to his strong attacks. I would admit, his strong attacks definitely hold him back a tad bit. Had he been given a better set of strong attacks, he would have been without a doubt one of the better power characters in the game, but even without that fact, he's still one of the better power characters in the game. He has a very high damage output thanks to the fact that he has a 40% Berserker. When he does inflict a stat ailment, he's going to get a 80% stat boost to his Spiritual Pressure stat, and he's not going to have a hard time inflicting stat ailments, mainly due to that unique SA3 being the trap effect, really powerful in Guild Quest content. We demonstrated that on the channel the other day, but when you do actually inflict a stat ailment, you also do 80% more damage to enemies afflicted by poison and also paralysis. That's a really good combination. It works really well with that SA3, and its SA2, while it's more ideal that you want it to have an SA1, it's still great for inflicting stat ailments. He has complete stat immunity, so he's not really going to struggle with clearing content, and in Guild Quest, again, where he's mainly designed for, he's one of the best characters for that game modes. His SA3 allows your team to be immune to stat ailments if they're standing in that particular puddle, because it does remove any stat ailment or trap on the floor, but Mayuri has a very powerful soul bomb to the likes of Thousand Year Blood or Yamamoto, and that's important to know because he actually doesn't inflict weakening. He has a very similar skill set to Yamamoto. It's almost identical. The only difference is that Yamamoto has weakening, whereas Mayuri has devastation, so 40% more damage on his soul bomb. So because of that, this might come as a surprise, we're actually putting him in SS tier. We're going to put him as the third best power character in the game. I think he's a great character that people aren't really giving enough credit for. We showcased him at 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5 in Guild Quest, and he easily clears the Aranka Killer Guild Quest. It's really good. And because he does some Marauder, you can use him in the range Aranka Guild Quest. Haven't tested it myself, but you might be able to get away, like Yamamoto, using him outside of the Aranka Killer Guild Quest. You could make a case for him to be second, better than Kenny, because of his Guild Quest potential. But Kenpachi also has some really good Guild Quest potential, especially as a side in the immediate Swordbeard Guild Quest. Because of Mayuri's existence, I am kind of tempted to move down these 4 characters into the top of S tier. Let me know how you guys feel about that, because while it's true content hasn't really gotten harder, these 3 characters are still, again, some of the better power characters in the game. I kind of want to save SS tier for some of the more broken characters, even though content is kind of staying the same, right, in terms of difficulty. But I will say, if you are looking for a power character with the Aranka Killer ability, Mayuri's a great character to use. If you need that extra bit of support in the Aranka Killer Guild Quest, he's a great character to have, even unduped. We saw teams that were nuking to the 5th wave, only 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5. So Mayuri, in my opinion, has definitely proven himself to be one of the better power characters in the game. Moving into the mind attribute, we received 2 new resurrectable characters and also 1 new character. First up, let's talk about Yuha. Unfortunately, this resurrection really wasn't the greatest. Yuha, as you can see, is already in beta. He's not really that great of a character, and the only good thing about Yuha that he's had over the last couple of so years is his Guild Quest nuking potential. So we're really hoping upon resurrecting they would double down on that nuke aspect, give him devastation, maybe even give him full stamina, and that would make him a better nuke. And when it came to his resurrection, he luckily got the devastation, but for his second skill that he picked up, he got 20% havoc. This is the character that you're not really going to be using in normal PvE content. His only usage has been in Guild Quests. So that extra 20% range on his already terrible strong attacks really isn't that good. The devastation makes him a tad bit better, and because of that, I guess we're going to move him up to just here. That's basically about it. He still requires to be 5 out of 5. He still requires a lot of investment on the side characters too to even nuke the Captain Guild quests, but that is something that he still can do, and that devastation made it a tad bit easier, but it wasn't really the resurrection we were really hoping for. The next resurrection is actually a White Ichigo who we had in D tier. Gonna move him up to B tier because I think it's actually a pretty good upgrade just above Yuha. In White Ichigo's case, not only did he become an exceptional link, he also got really better in terms of damage output. He's still lacking a tad bit on the recharge. That's the one downside about his resurrection, but I think it works out because original soul trait was 25% strong attack damage. Now he actually is a 25% SAD and also full standard damage soul trait. That's one of the best links in the entire game. Was happy he did receive that. It allows him to do more damage on his normal attacks and also soul bomb, but when it comes to his skills, he also did pick up an additional 20% berserker. So in terms of DPS, he basically saw a 36% increase. That's really good for a resurrection, to be fair, and personally I'm quite happy with it. You're still going to find it hard to actually use him in normal PvE content, but he's not too bad now. He got an upgrade. That's all you can really ask for. Our newest character in the mind attribute though is going to be Abirama, already receiving another new character. He just got his first character last year and he's already got a new one. In this case, he's now unresurrected. And just like the Aaroniero that came out last year, he is very similar in nature. In that way, he's a Nad character designed to be used in guild quests, and for some reason, they love to give Aaroniero some really high damage. It's quite crazy. In this case, Aaroniero is a Nad character, a melee Nad one at that, keep that in mind. He has a 30% non-attack damage soul trait, just like his resurrected version. Alongside that, he has Flurry +1 with a 40% bruiser. That's high in and of itself, but then he also does 100% more damage to enemies not afflicted by an ailment. And if that wasn't crazy, he then does 50% more kill effect in guild quests and 30% more melee damage in guild quests. This character obviously is clearly designed to be used in guild quest content. He was given guard breaks so you can use him outside of guild quests. You probably won't, but his damage output is exceptionally high. If you want to have a super easy time going into the melee captain guild quest, having one Aaroniero in your team will definitely speed up the process. And because of that, we're going to put him in S tier. Probably going to put him right here, just for his guild quest potential. I don't want to put him higher than these characters because I do see myself using most of these characters more regularly outside of guild quest content. But I think opinions will differ on this particular Aaroniero, where you would place him in the particular S tier, maybe bottom S. It really comes down to you. But this Aaroniero damage output is really high. You can basically bring in any content you like other than co-op content, but that's not really an Aaroniero problem, that's a normal attack damage problem. You don't really ever bring Nad characters into co-op content, unless you're maybe, Fowers near Blood War Eisen. Unfortunately though, as you can see, SS tier is still only occupied by these two main characters. It's only a matter of time now, lads, before we do get a new mined SS tier character, and we desperately need it. It's the attribute that is lacking the most when it comes to SS tier characters, and these two characters can easily be topped, and hopefully can be topped sometime going forward into the future. I wouldn't be surprised at this point the 8th anniversary character is going to be another main character, because while it's true that Ichigo is an amazing character, he does have problems, and I'm hoping the 8th anni character can solve that. For the speed attribute, this time around we received no new character, but we did get 2 new resurrectable characters. The first one being if I was near Blood War Yoruichi, who we currently have in A tier. With her resurrection, I'm going to put her up to S tier, just right there. I think she got a really good upgrade. She got exactly what she wanted. Because prior to resurrecting, the thing this character lacked a tad bit was on the damage, the lack of recharge on her strong attacks, and also the range. With this resurrection, she picked up 20% Berserker, which is good. Essentially, she has a 40% Berserker, which is somewhat in line with even characters like Tesla, for example. She got the 10% recharge, so her strong attacks come back a tad bit faster, and she also picked up 20% more range on all of her strong attacks. As far as resurrections go, it's a very simple one. More range, more damage, more recharge, but that's exactly what she wants. This allows her to be used in basically any content you want to put her against. And remember, she's also a transform character, so she's actually really fun to play around with in IT content, especially when there's hollow enemies. I've actually been enjoying myself using her more often than not thanks to this resurrection, so I think she's definitely one of the better speed characters, definitely an S tier weather character, and it just thanks to those 3 simple upgrades. More range, more recharge, and also more damage. You can't ask for more when it comes to a resurrection. For the next resurrection, we have the Kakao Saiti Byakuya. Unfortunately, not as fortunate as Yoruichi. In this case, he basically got no upgrade whatsoever. He got 60% more strong attack damage, which is nice. That comes from the soul trait, so he's actually a good link now. But in terms of upgrade on the skills, this character already had 7 skills, and because he's not a Flowers Near Blood War character, he doesn't get the elusive 8 skill that, Flowers Near Blood War resurrections do get. So due to that, he basically only saw a 10% increase on his normal attacks, 10% increase on his soul bomb, and a 60% increase on his strong attacks. Not really the greatest, doesn't really change the way this character plays. He basically plays the exact same, so he's basically staying in C tier. And that's all I really need to add for the speed attribute. No new character got introduced. Again, these are still some of your best characters in the game. Like the power attribute, I'm tempted to move characters down, such as Asashira and also Noelle, for example. Both of them are here mainly due to the fact that they do have a good damage output, good survivability, more so on Asashira's side, and they both have 2 killers, so their usability is higher than normal characters. While they are higher than Jushiro, for example, I am tempted to keep Jushiro in SS tier because Nad characters haven't really been evolving. SP characters are constantly getting better and better, so over time, SP characters are more likely to drop when compared to Nad characters, if that makes sense. But lastly, let's look at the technique attribute, which probably received the best upgrade this month. For starters, when it comes to the resurrectable characters, our first resurrectable character is Kisuke, who we currently have in C tier. Now, in his one, we'll probably maybe move up to S tier. Let's just say bottom of S tier, maybe top of A. Let me do top of A right now, because the only reason why I don't want to put him in S tier, unlike Yoruichi, for example, is Yoruichi can inflict stars damage. She has the transform mechanic. That's really good, and you can use an IT, for example. I'm going to put Kisuke top of S, because he doesn't inflict stat ailments. And he also doesn't have the best strong attack kit, I will admit. But in terms of upgrades, this Kisuke got one of the best in terms of any resurrection. When it comes to his soul trait, he picked up Last Ditch Survival, adding that extra bit of survivability onto the character. Pretty good link for the technique attribute too. Like Yoruichi, he also picked up 20% more range on his strong attacks, which is great, it's what you want. But he's also the first character in the game to get this particular skill, more damage to enemies not afflicted by an ailment. Now, it was nerfed compared to the summonable characters. In his case, instead of getting 100% more damage, he got 50% more damage to enemies not afflicted by an ailment, but that's still really good. It's a noticeable increase if you decide to use this character. As far as resurrections go, it's one of the best in the entire game. Massive damage increase, more survivability, and also more range. Again, what more could you ask for? Really impressive resurrection. I'm actually going to move him down to here. Maybe down to here. The more I think about it, yeah, he's got good damage, but his strong attacks are still lacking a tad bit. I kind of think I'm happy with this placement. So yeah, pretty good resurrection. Really comes down to you if you're still going to use him, but not really too bad. Our next resurrection, though, is actually a Gin, a CS Gin in this case, Kakao Sai team. Very similar to Byakuya, the character itself really didn't change that much, so I guess he's going to stay in D tier. Maybe we move to the bottom of the C tier now. The most notable change with this character is the soul trait, previously being 12% recharge, now actually being 12% recharge and 60% more damage at full stamina. That's really good, especially for all the top SS tier characters. Gin is one of the best links in the entire game. Like Byakuya though, in terms of the skills, he saw a 10% increase on his Bruiser and also Devastation. Really doesn't change the character much, but I guess the full stamina damage is actually quite nice. For the new characters in the technique attribute, I have a lot to talk about here. So first up, we have Ilfor. Ilfor is a character you might not be that impressed by, but in a situation like Epic Raid, for example, that's when he really starts to excel. So I'm actually going to put this character, believe it or not, near the top of S tier. I think he's an exceptional character. Now, I will admit, in normal PvE content, basically outside of Epic Raids, you're going to have a hard time using him, but this character wants to be used in Epic Raids, and this way he's going to be really good. And the reason for that is because he wants to be used in Epic Raid content. He does, after all, increase the amount of links or potions you get. A big importance in Epic Raid content is clearing fast, and that really comes down to the damage these links or characters can do. And Ilfor has a massive damage output that can get better than what Aarankers that are in his lobby. So for starters, Ilfor has a Frenzy +1 skill with a 40% Berserker. He increases technique attribute Aarankers' strong attack damage by 20%. That goes for himself too. And he also allows all the Aarankers in your lobby to do 40% more damage to enemies afflicted by an ailment. But then on top of that, every time you have an Aaranker in your lobby, he gets 10% more strong attack damage. So in an Epic Raid lobby, where you could potentially have upwards to 6 Aarankers, that's 60% more Berserker. That's really good for a mid-month character. And the reason why I'm even highlighting that particular skill is because one of the best Epic Raid characters right now is actually CS Grimmjow. You see Grimmjow quite a lot. He's probably the best character you can use for clearing Epic Raids because he has Weakening, he has a Charged Strong Attack 3, and sometime in the future, let's say around 6 months from now, because, you know, no one really has Ilfor, I don't even have him too, when he starts to become a tad bit more common, Ilfor and Grimmjow is going to be a very powerful combo. Like, I actually rather just have a full lobby of Aarankers just to get the buffs from Ilfor, and also just to make Grimmjow even better. And it's strictly for those reasons why I'm putting Ilfor in S tier. Because he has a good damage output, he's going to be one of the best links or characters for clearing Epic Raids, and he works really well with characters like Grimmjow. If you don't care about that, Ilfor is basically like an A tier character, and I might be overvaluing it, so maybe I'm going to move him down to like here, for example. But Epic Raid content is something that we do more so than not, and I love when characters like this come out that have a lot of team synergy with the other characters in that attribute, in this case Grimmjow. And this character's usability will get better as we potentially get more Aarankers that are designed to be used in Epic Raid content. The renewed version of Aaroniero has this too, but the difference is that Aaroniero you don't really see much in Epic Raid content, nor do you see other Aarankers, but in the technique attribute, a lot of people bring Grimmjow, and that only increases the value that Ilfor has in your particular lobby. But last but not least, we have the long-awaited Beyond Bankai Gin. Finally happy to add him onto the tier list, and I am not shy to say he is definitely an SS tier character, one of the best technique characters in the game. I will potentially increase him going forward into the future. We've yet to see how this character plays in IT when he can actually inflict stat ailments, so he might actually get higher. But as of right now, gonna put him at the bottom of SS tier, which is still great because technique has been absolutely stacked. You know, less than 2 years ago, they were the worst attribute in the entire game, and now they're easily one of the best because these characters exist. And what I like about these characters too is that they all have different killers. Tosho being a super killer, Ichigo being, you know, Hollow and also Quincy, Aizen being a Aranka, Gin being no affiliation. It means that if you do own all these characters, they're all great to have because they're all going to be useful in their own different times. But in Gin's case, let's talk about it. So for starters, he has the best strong attack kit in the entire game, Beam SA1, Distant AoE into a Tracking Vortex SA2, and also a full screen SA3. Keep in mind he is a farming character, so his damage output isn't as high, not like it's supposed to be fair, compared to some of these other high tier SS characters. And it kind of balances out because he also increases the amount of Link Star potions you get, and also Super Link Star potions. And because he's designed to be used in IT, what I really like about him is that he has Frenzy +2, more damage to poison enemies, but most importantly, an increased chance to inflict poison against any speed enemy. If you saw in our heart tiers, we had Kaname at the top of S tier, and I said when I ranked him, 4 or so months ago, if he had one more thing, I would have put him in SS tier. If he had a second stat element, if he had an increased chance to inflict stat elements, if he had a better SA1, just that simple change, I would have put him in SS tier. And Gin is basically that. Kaname is a great character for clearing IT, and Gin's only going to be better. I understand Gin's value isn't as, sought after because there's so many great technique characters. Uryu exists, for example, but for those that want to use Gin and use him in IT when the enemies aren't immune to poison, that's the only downside his character does have. He's going to go through IT super easy, great crowd control, constantly inflicting stat elements to likes we've never seen before. We've never seen a character have his strong attack kit with the increased chance to inflict stat elements, and we still can't even test how powerful that is because, again, the enemies are immune to poison right now, and then he's also increasing the droplets that you do get. That's really good. I've seen some people complain about his damage output being too low. Frenzy +2 and damage to poison enemies with the kit that he has is perfectly fine. I don't know what content people are playing where every character needs to have Frenzy +2 with the stat element boost. That just isn't needed. It's overkill. This Quince Ichigo is the best character game, granted, because he has those things. It's overkill. Gin is gonna go through IT super easy. He has a great strong attack kit to back you up, and he's also gonna be really good in the merely no affiliation killer guild quests. So yeah, very powerful character, easily one of the best in the entire game, easily an SS tier character. But with that said, that was basically this month's tier list, ranking the new resurrectable characters and also new characters into the game. The highlight of the month, of course, being the new Beyond Bankai versions of Gin and Mayuri, two very powerful characters that are some of the best in their attributes. However, hasn't seen much love from the community, mainly due to the attributes they were given. While it's great that Gin is an amazing character, technique is already stacked, while the mind attribute is desperately begging for a new character, and Mayuri being a great character for the power attribute, if the character isn't better than Yamamoto, maybe just people aren't going to be too excited about him. But I still think both of these new characters, all the characters this month, actually bring some value to the game, value to your account if you did pull them. So all in all, it wasn't a bad month. In the comments below, let me know if you agree or disagree with any of our placements, and I hope to see you guys next time. Take care and peace.